Let's get started. Um, I want to start today with a tale about a dentist that I know. He's an oral surgeon. This oral surgeon was had a booming practice. Uh, it was he lived in a $4.4 million house with an elevator. He had a Lamborghini parked in front of that house. Not only did he have one Lamborghini, but he had another Lamborghini that he kept in Miami, where he frequented, and he also kept one in his apartment in Manhattan, where he also worked. He had a black card. He traveled everywhere private. He lived an amazing lifestyle. He had 3 beautiful children. He was married. And everything looked like this guy is a man of, this guy's a guy that's made it, and it was, and even for me, I was like, I'm trying to be like this guy, and he was the nicest guy in the world. He was very generous with his money. And then all of a sudden he lost his practice. He got sued for a Medicaid fraud of some type of litigation. The practice, he could no longer had a lot of tie-ups, and he could no longer practice in his home state. So he started practicing more in the other places that he was working. He used to travel to New York and make big money in here, and then he would travel down to Miami, and he still maintained the lifestyle. What little did we know that it was a facade. So now he's trying to make the same income and live the same lifestyle that he's been accustomed to, but his income had taken a big hit. Nobody knew this at this time. Everything seemed all good on the surface, right? And then what happened is he went and passed away at the age of 47 years old.
Wow.
Left behind 3 children.
Wow.
Right? $4.4 million house that even while I knew him, before he had passed away, he bought it for 4.4. It was listed for 4.2 million. Then he cut the price to 3.8, didn't sell, went to 3.2, 2.9, 2.4. And that was the last time I seen that it was listed. I didn't really see it after that. I didn't see him for a while. And then next thing you know, I hear that he's passed away. Now his family, he was vastly underinsured, right? So his family had to move out of this $4.4 million house, which eventually we found out went into foreclosure. The family had to move, the 3 children and the widow had to move back to her parents' house in another state. They had to leave the children from private school. And that's the last I heard. And it was a tragic, tragic tale. And I tell you this story because it is something that we can all take a lesson from. It's a cautionary tale. And it was a tale where a guy that made a lot of income as a dentist or a professional, and we get these golden handcuffs where we earn a ton of money and we have this great lifestyle, but we fail to make that transition from high income earner to high net worth. And that's what we're here to discuss today. There's a tried and true way to do it. There's a way that you can do it with low risk and with strong fundamentals. There's a way that you can build streams of income. There's a way that you can build generational wealth. Get tax advantages, get leverage. Do you have leverage on your investment? Have diversification. There's ways to have this all and develop this income. And that is the transition from high net income to high net worth. That's what we're here to discuss today, right? We're here to talk about how to build a life of true freedom and independence from our dental income. And that's what we're going to talk to you about today. So I'm Dr. Jonny Walker. I'm a successful endodontist of 13 years. I'm an enthusiastic real estate investor. I've had great success investing in the multifamily arena. We've invested it across hundreds of apartment building units and done tens of millions of dollars worth of transactions. And what we want, or you can follow me anywhere online. You could www.walkofwealth.com/Jonny, Jonny, and you can find me everywhere on the web, from my downloads to my YouTube channel to my website and everything else between. They're all this free resources where downloads and everything where you can get where we're trying to teach and educate people on how they too can achieve financial freedom through investing passively in real estate. Now, today we're going to be, the first, I want to introduce, give a moment so that my co-host can introduce himself. Tom, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your involvement in the investing space?
Hey, thank you, Jonny. What a touching story you just said there. I mean, that's a touching story at the same time, very practical and something that everybody should be prepared about. I mean, I was really touched when I heard that. I mean, we all got to prepare. By the way, I'm so excited to co-host with Jonny and Noel, who are dentists. I'm not a dentist. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I know a lot of dentists, and I'm very closely associated with the dentists. I've got clients who are dentists. I've got friends. I met these guys at investment conferences. So that's my connection with these guys in terms of uh, dentists. Am I live or what? Let me make sure I'm live. So that is I think I'm the only one live right now. I don't know what happened.
No, you're on. I just put your screen because you were talking. That's all.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. So that's me. I am a serial entrepreneur. I own three businesses, and all of them are seven-figure businesses. Everything from digital marketing to online sales to real estate to other things. So, and I started my real estate journey investing in multifamily. Again, same thing. You know what Jonny said. You know, when you start having to pay a lot of taxes, you look for ways to not only save taxes but also to build generational wealth. And that's when I found real estate. I used to invest heavily in stocks. I've traded pretty much from the dot com time. You know, I've traded pretty much every dot com stock out there and lost a bunch of money, made and lost a bunch of money during the dot com bust. And then I realized at that time, I thought, man, I wish I invested. I didn't know anything about real estate. I wish I bought a building. At least I could see the building. And this paper thing is all gone. So I started this journey a couple of years ago. Started with my 6 unit. Now I'm invested in about over a little bit over 1,000 units as an LP as well as GP. So excited to talk about today's topics, and I think
Awesome.
it's going to
Yeah.
be an amazing time today.
All right. Thanks, Tom. How about Noel? I don't know if we lost Noel.
Oh, he's there.
Noel, you there? All right. Well, when he joins us, we'll get him. Dr. Noel is also our partner in this awesome group that's growing very well, and we're happy to have so many talented investors like Dr. Simon Balin in here, and of course, I have Dr. Brian Craven, who's invested in our company as well, and he's excited to get invested in real estate and get out of the stock market. So that's great to see both of you guys here. So today we're going to be talking about something kind of basic, but not kind of so basic, because some of the questions that we get, especially a lot of the people that I talk to in this group that are interested in investing, is just like, what is this multifamily syndication? How exactly does it kind of work? And we'll kind of explain how the profits work in a multifamily. People don't really understand what exactly there is. How much do I really make? Is this for me? And usually if people don't understand what it is, they don't want anything to do with it. So today we're going to try to figure out how to explain this properly.
Jonny,
now, what is
let's
a syndication? Yes, sir.
should, should we back up a little
Sure.
bit and say when we talk about even me, when before I knew about apartments, I hear about people investing in real estate all the time, right? And people buying houses. And when you think about real estate, I'm just thinking, man, I got to buy another house, rent it out, and buy another house, buy more houses. And this is all what the friends and family that I knew was doing. I didn't know there was a better way. And what we are talking about here is that you don't need to go buy houses and and start managing it when the toilet is broken. They call you. You got to. You don't. That's not you. You guys are making you guys' time is so valuable that you can make a lot more money by focusing on your profession rather than sending a handyman to fix that stuff, right? So we are talking a better way here where we can buy big apartment buildings and partner with somebody. So, like, let's say Jonny goes and finds he invites others to partner with him in a legal framework that's all set up, so everybody's protected. And that's what we are going to talk about today, right? That's what a
Yep.
syndication is basically. Noel is back, right?
Yeah, he's back. Noel's back. So, what is a syndication, right? So, with syndication, I mean, as Tom alluded to, it's say you have a huge apartment building, 300 units. If it's a single family house, you might be able to go and buy the house yourself, get the financing, get the mortgage. But what about if it's 300 unit apartment building and it's $50 million? Most of us would just say, okay, that's not even anything I can afford. That's not anything I'll even think about looking at. I've never even thought about investing in one of these huge buildings because this is for somebody that's really, really rich. And this is not, this is not our deal. We are going to go invest in some townhouses or things. We'll manage it, maybe do a short-term rental, and we'll build some income and whatever. But the thing is, that's not a scalable model, right? Like if you're trying to make a few $100 on each property, maybe you make a few thousand, maybe, depending on what happens with the market and the amount of people going into it. But that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But what we're talking about is a 300 unit apartment building is $50 million. But the thing is, these aren't owned by individual people. Apartment buildings are owned in large groups where people will pool capital and buy a building. So, for example, a $50 million building where, just to keep the numbers easy, we might borrow 80% of that $50 million from the bank. So we're like, all right, well, we have $40 million now borrowed from the bank in the form of debt. And now we need to come up with the rest of the money, which is another $10 million to buy a $50 million building. That $10 million can come from one person writing a check. It can come from two people. It can come from 5 people. It can come from 100 people. And the amount of ownership is proportionate to how much of that $10 million you invest. If you invest $100,000 out of 10 million, then you own 1% of that limited partnership's share of the entire building. So say that works out to about 2% equity of the entire building, 300 units. So somebody invested $100,000. Now they own 2% of that building, which means they get 2% of any cash flows that come from that profit, and any profits that flow out of that building, 2% of them will flow, 2% of all of profits will flow directly into the pockets of that investor. When the property is sold, 2% of profits will flow into the pockets of that investor. Say that the property is sold we bought it for $50 million, we sell it for $70 million later, and we sell it for a $20 million profit. Then that investor, if they own 2% of it, they're entitled to 2% of that $20 million profit. If we refinance the property and we pull equity out, okay, we pulled $5 million out of the building in the form of refinance, and now we're like, we have this cash that came from the property. Well, guess what? That little single individual investor still gets 2% of that refinance proceeds. So this is a way, and then guess what though? In a syndication, you're not the one that's actually doing the work. You're not finding the property. You're not putting tenants in, you're not renting it out. You're not dealing with banks. You're not dealing with accountants and generating statements for your income taxes. You're not disposing of the asset. You're not working with banks, lenders to refinance it. You're not working with property managers. You're not doing asset management. You're not doing anything. You're not working with termites, toilets, not tenants. You never spend any of that, but you still get to participate in ownership of real estate. You still get all the tax advantages of real estate. So who actually does the work? Maybe we could let Noel talk about it. So if the person that's investing, called the limited partner, is not doing the work, but they're just investing, then who actually is doing the work? Maybe Noel, you could answer that question.
Yeah, absolutely. So guys, here's the thing, what Jonny just said. One thing I just want to add, another point for Jonny here is, when you invest $100,000, you're not getting 100,000 only. You are actually leveraging the other 75%. So for 100,000, you're buying at least 400,000 worth of property. That's one. The other thing too is with syndication, it's the GP partners that so all combined, and everybody has dedicated goals. So what are we talking about here is asset management. You know, that was the other guy be like,
Noel, you're cutting in and out, bro.
yeah,
I think it's a little bad.
No one's gonna.
sorry, I think the reception here is a little bit bad. Actually, if you guys know me, I'm not home. Okay, I'm here.
He's out racing Ferrari. He's going to Ferrari driving.
He's at a
school.
Ferrari. Ferrari.
He's
event.
literally that's where he's literally at, guys. He's in Miami taking lessons on how to drive his Ferraris around. He's trying to make sure he can drive professionally here. You know, these are rich people problems. Sorry to inundate you guys with that, you know. But all right, so you know, Thomas, you know, he kind of explained it well, so a little bit, you know, from what we could hear. But you know, basically, so there's like we're talking about here. So in a syndication, there's essentially two entities. You have a general partner and you have a limited partner. The person that's investing the money, who's putting their capital and allowing this project to move forward, because without capital, these projects cannot move forward. So that's where us as busy professionals, doctors, dentists, we can invest in these apartment buildings, these great assets where people always need a place to live. They always need a place to sleep. We're providing human shelter. This is a commodity that never loses demand, right? It's recession resilient. So we love that part about it. So now the other part is the general partner. The general partner is the one that's going to actually execute and implement the business plan. We're the ones that's going to do all of the work involved with it, managing tenants, fixing toilets, doing all of the work, taking on all the liability even that a general partner would have to do, where a limited partner is not liable for, has the only liability a limited partner has is the capital invested. That's all they can lose. Nobody can come after them for their money, right? So those are the players in the game. We have the general partner and we compensate the general partner by getting a percentage of the profits. That's how we incentivize them. So we might say, all right, because you're going to do all this work for us so that we can get a percentage of the profits, we're going to give you a percentage of the profits. And the profits are so large in these multifamily real estate deals that it can be justified to pay a general partner to get this done professionally, to get it managed professionally, where they have the systems in place, where they have resources, they have the software, they have the people. These companies have full-time real estate staff, full employees. And these guys are going to make sure that this is done professionally, done well, and is going to move from point A to point B. And as a result, they're going to get a percentage of the profits. It might be 20%, it might be 25%, it might be 30%. But to me, as a passive investor, it's well worth it to give up a small piece of the upside so that I can remove myself from actually doing it and still getting paid. So let's talk a little bit more about how that profit works. Okay, so how does that profit work? So now that we know that generally this is how it works, it's going to go from a percentage, say 25% is going to go to the general partner, 75% will go to the limited partner or the investors. But let's get into that a little bit deeper here. So we're going to discuss a little bit of what's called a waterfall. Tom, do you want to go ahead?
Before that, let me talk about let me talk about, you can talk about the water, but let me discuss the GP and the LP thing too, which may not be very clear to everybody, right? So let's say, let's say, you know, you have a friend, you don't know anything about real estate, and your friend tells you, hey, you know, I'm really good at real estate, finding deals, finding profitable deals. But you know what? I don't have the money. You know what? Can we partner? I'll do all the work. You put in the money and you just give me 20% or 10% of whatever the deal is. You keep the rest 80%. I take 20% or I take 25%. You keep 75%. But guess what? I'll do all the work because I know all about real estate and how to make deals profitable. So that guy is the guy who found the deal, does all the work. You're the guy funding the deal. So in large deals, there will be a team called as GP, with his general partner, who does all the work, finds a deal, does all the sweat equity. I mean, have people on the ground, all that. They bring the deal to you, and you, as LPs, or I, as an LP, I will put my money and I'll just go to sleep peacefully, knowing that I trusted my money with somebody, and I'm okay with splitting the money because I don't have to do the work. And the other thing also to keep in mind is that we want the GPs to be compensated properly. Some people get very like picky about, oh, is it 20? Is it 30? Is it 50? Is it 25%? Why is it 20? I mean, no, we want them because they want to have skin in the game. If they're not making profit, they're not going to put their attention on the deal. So we want the GPs to be making, I mean, reasonably doing well, so that I can make sure that he's going to make money. And if he's going to make money, guess what? I'm going to make money because my percentage, the LP's percentage, is always going to be higher than the GP. So that's really what the GP is. Now, Jonny and or Noel, you guys can talk about the waterfall and how that works. And basically, let's say one more thing. Like if he decide on a split, let's say it's 75-25, meaning the GP saying I'll take 25%, you guys take 75. So every money that comes in gets split into 75-25, and then at some point we'll get into the waterfall structure in that deal, and that's what that you guys can talk about that one.
Hey, I
All
quickly
right, you
want to
got
add.
a great example coming up.
Hey, Hey, can you guys hear me? Tom, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now, but you were breaking up before. Now I think it's okay.
All right, so check it out, guys. Well, let's take a very simple example.
Jonny, we can't hear you.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yep. Yeah, we can hear you now.
I can't. Unfortunately, I can't turn off this camera. Okay, let me turn this camera off and let me turn this camera off. All right, guys. So say we got a building that has $1 million profit. Okay, so say we bought a $4 million building, and then we sold it for $5 million. Okay, and we generated a profit of $1 million. All right. Now we're gonna keep a preferred return out of this just because it'll just make it a little bit too complicated. But say that we have a simple waterfall structure. And waterfall structure, all that means is don't go chasing waterfalls. Stick to the rivers and lakes that you're used to, isn't it? That's a quote by the great TLC, by the way. But I guess if anybody knows who TLC is, maybe you guys are too young to know. But anyway, these type of waterfalls we do chase. Why? Because this waterfall tells us exactly how the profits will flow. So what happens from waterfalls? The money flows from the top and it flows down. So now here, say that we've created a 75-25 split. Now what that means is a GP LP split is 25% to the GP, 25% to the GP, 75% to the LP. Okay, so this is called, very commonly would be called a 75-25 split. Okay, so if we know this is $1 million profit at a 75-25 split, that means this $1 million will flow like this. It's going to flow into this bucket, and it's going to flow into this bucket. This bucket is the GP. Okay? Actually, let's say the LP, because LP gets paid first. And we're going to explain that. I'm going to let Tom or Noel explain that part. But LP gets 75% of this $1 million. So in this waterfall structure, the profits will flow to here first. Actually, no, we're not even talking about return of capital. So $750,000 of the $1 million will go to the limited partners, and $250,000 is going to go to the general partner in exchange for their efforts of buying this building and doing all the things to make it profitable. If you want to really look at it in a way, we're paying them to do the work for us, which is compelling to me, right? So now in this structure, there's a couple other important things to add. Typically, limited partner gets paid first, right? They get return of capital first. So say that the limited partner, say it was one person and he got 75% of the GP, and he had to put up $750,000 of invested capital. The first money that's coming out from the return of principal is he gets return of his money first. That's before anybody gets any money. After the investor has got a return of capital, then the next thing is they get a return on capital. That's when the profits split. And then that's how these profits split. So you can see the general partner is incentivized to make this thing work. Otherwise, they do not get paid. The first money coming out of the deal is returned to the investor. So now the investor gets all of his invested money back first. Only any money above and beyond that, is split according to this structure. So that means we have very good alignment between the general partner and the limited partner. The incentives are aligned. Each of us are only getting profits, and we're incentivized only if there's performance occurs. The general partner only gets paid on performance, which is in stark contrast to the stock market, because everybody's stock market's down, but they're still paying assets under management fees. They're still paying fixed expense ratio fees. They're still paying all the fees for non-performance. So that begs the question, what makes them they don't even care if they should have to be profitable, right? So here, that's a complete misalignment of interest. Here in the multifamily space, in this syndication space, we're not talking about REITs here, by the way. In this syndication space, there's a great alignment of interest, which creates a lot of certainty for investors. Thomas, talk to us. Give us a personal story. Give us a personal story about and maybe share an experience of your investing.
Yeah. So. By the way, you brought up about that stock market thing about these fund managers. So I was talking to my brother-in-law the other day. Actually, he is really down in the stock market. However, his fund manager is getting a percentage of his total, whatever that assets are. Like if it's 500K, your stock could be down 10%, but he is getting the fund manager is getting paid his 2%.
Regardless,
whether it's up or down. How ridiculous is that? So in this case, I've been involved in deals where there was 25%, 75%, some are 70-30, some are 80-20. But all these deals, what I love about it is that it's not the other way around. It's not 80-20 towards the GP. It's 20. So he's getting less, the LP is getting. And here's another thing, guys. True passive income. If you ask somebody, so I was in search of passive income for a long time, okay? And there is no such thing as true passive income, because nothing is truly passive. I mean, stock market could be, but if you neglect it, it's good. But if there is something that is safe and truly close to being like almost 99% passive, it is this thing as syndication, because you don't have to really do the work. All I do in this deal that I invested in Florida, every 3 months, I get the report saying, okay, the occupancy is 98%, and we are renewing the leases at about 10% more than what we did last year. Okay, that sounds great to me. I don't need to worry about whose toilet was broken, whose bathroom door got messed up, nothing. And then every month on the 15th, that money is hitting my account direct deposit it like clockwork. I mean, think about it. And I know my capital is safe over there because the building is there, and I own a percentage, a tiny percentage in that building. Building is refinanced or sold. I'm going to make. That's when I'm going to make a killing. So I mean, I'm safe, and I'm truly passive in that deal. And that's what I love about this, because if there's something that's truly, I mean, I really don't have to worry about market going up and down and, losing sleep over that. I mean, and having anxiety and all this stuff. This is like safe. You just start seeing the checks coming in.
Great. Thank you,
guys.
man. What about you, Noel? You got anything to add? And any parting words before we start taking some questions?
Yeah, can you hear me though?
Yeah, go ahead.
We can hear you.
Awesome. Hey, you know what? The only thing I would say is, for a lot of passive investors I went through, for me, it's more about what are you looking for? So for me, if I put in $100K of investment, my biggest thing is that I got sold was, hey, it's 2x. So how does a passive investor get paid is based on the cash flow plus the sale at the back end, and that's where, when your equity performs, your up, and that's how you get the return of your capital and on your capital. And the other thing for is very, very important is when you look at the IRR. I mean, any IRR over 15%, I think that's great. The entire length or in the entire time of the entire deal, if whether we refi, we sell, or 6 or 7 years, and your IRR performs at way past 20, I mean, that's great return for not doing. And I'm currently involved in about like 4 LPs, and the first 2 LPs work, all I saw was 2x IRR, COC. I jumped in. It's better than jumping in the stock market, like how Jonny and Tom just elaborated. I want to get more in detail. I mean, it's a whole another topic. Like, if you want to get really into detail of the syndicate, like, the takeaway is your money should perform twice. Anywhere to 2.5x.
Cool. Very good.
All right.
Absolutely. One more thing before Jonny. So Noel was saying about IRR to all the people who don't know what IRR is: internal rate of return, or simply when you do the math about the cash flow and the appreciation and everything, basically it's whatever you're making annually, or the annual rate of return. So that's what it is. Somebody asked a question right now, Jonny. Did you see that?
All right. So let's talk with. Oh, sick. Sonny, can you hear? Sonny, are you online? I can't hear you, right? I don't know. I put him in here somehow so you could see it. Okay, so Dr. Saikon here, which is our friend, and he's a very, very good friend, close friend of mine. He's a great pediatric dentist out in South Jersey, in the Philly area. His question is, are the terms GP and sponsor interchangeable? For the most part, everybody uses it the same way. A GP and sponsor is interchangeable. Technically speaking, the sponsor doesn't include the management. So it's usually the general partner and the management company, which the general partner has the authority, is the legal entity to make decisions. But for most purposes, everybody uses it the same way. So essentially interchangeable. But to be technical, it's a general partnership and property management. That can sometimes be one and the same, where the general partner has a property management company within their own company. If they're called vertically integrated, they do their own management. Or it's often used third-party management, where you'll hire a third-party property management kind of company that specializes in only managing large apartment buildings. All right, so next question. How do I get to that? Let's see. So we have my guy, Brian Craven, Dr. Brian Craven. We can see here at the top here. If you're an LP and after 5 years there's a refinance, are you as an LP paid out and then you are out of the deal? Or are you still part of the syndication? No, Thomas, you want to answer that or?
So that's a great question, actually. So
Mhm.
it actually depends on deal by deal. There are some deals where once your capital is out, they don't pay you. I mean, you're out of the deal. But in some deals, you stay in the deal, even if your capital is out. You still stay in the deal based on what you put in. So it's a deal by deal situation.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, some deals you get if there's a refinance, you probably are not completely out of the deal yet, because typically in a refinance you're not going to get all of your money
All
back.
the money,
On a
right?
sale, you might get all of your money back, but on a refinance you might get a portion of your capital that you invested back. So that'll be called a return on capital. No,
Capital.
return of
Of
capital,
capital.
where you're actually getting your money back. Only after there's enough money to get all of your money back, only after that would you get a return on capital, which was your actual profits. So no, usually in a refinance, you'll get anywhere between 0 and 50% of your invested capital back. Of course, if profits have gone way up and we have a lot of equity, then you might get some of your profits. But usually once you refinance, it doesn't, and you get your return of capital, it doesn't dilute your shares or ownership. So you stay in the deal. And like Tom said, it does depend deal on deal. Usually on a sale of the property, obviously the money comes out. On a refinance, a lot of sponsors, what they do, they'll give you an option. So maybe at the second refinance, you might get all of your money back plus profits. At that time, they might say, well, you can either opt out of the deal or you can continue
Or
to
stay
stay
in
in
the
the
deal,
deal.
right?
But it depends on the deal. Sometimes once they've given you all your money and got your return, then you're out of the deal. But that's not a bad situation either, because you can just go and invest it again, and now you can reinvest your profits and get the compounding, which as you wouldn't get that if it's just tied up in a deal. So, increases the velocity of money, and you generate faster returns overall to grow your portfolio. Any other questions? We're gonna try to keep it short today. Anybody else? Anything
Also,
else?
Johnny, why don't you say when the replay is going to be? So
Right.
talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
So replay, Thomas, and also let's give the date of the next live stream. So today we're going to be doing this every other Tuesday. We're going live. We're going to cover different topics. We definitely want anyone that wants to give us comment. Let us know what you want to talk about. What do you want to hear about? What are your pressing questions when it comes to this? It can be simple, even if it's stupid, if it's not stupid, whatever. Let us know so that way we can try to address it, right? We just got a great question. How do we find this? How do you find these deals? I mean, I don't think we have a lot of time to go into that today. Maybe we can discuss that. Actually, that is kind of what we have planned to talk about on the next live.
Next call.
Yeah, next live. But great question, whoever that was. Please identify yourself with your name, because I can't see that. It just says Facebook user. And thank you for
Yeah.
the
So
question.
the
Yeah, that's
next
great. And we appreciate
the
the
next
feedback. How much money would a
yeah. So the next
32-year-old need?
call we will be the next call. We want to do that
This
topic,
one
right?
too.
So
Oh,
how
another
we want to
great
show you
question just came
exactly
in, Con.
how
Yeah.
you can find
This is a
deals
great question
yourself.
also. How much money would a 32-year-old need to invest annually to reach financial independence, 200K passive income? This is an awesome question. This is we 100% got to break down. So this is Dr. Milagros Galvez. How do we find deals? We will discuss this. And who wrote this second question? How much money would a 32-year-old need to invest? This is an excellent question.
This is
And
Jameson
this is
Brady.
something that's very important to try to break down. Yes. Señora Milagros, is this both of yours? Los dos? These questions are both yours?
No. The other one is Jameson Brady.
Jameson Braid. I don't know why I can't see it. Dr. Braden, I love that question. We're gonna definitely discuss in another live for sure. Okay, so we're gonna be live stream. So now we're on Tuesdays, October 11th. We're gonna be live streaming this exact same one on October 14th. That's when the restream will be. The restream will also be on the YouTube. I'm gonna put that. I'll put the links to. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, we're going to release the restream of this same live this Friday. So keep watching on Facebook,
yeah,
and
and then for
also
YouTube followers, this is this. This is my link here for
this
all of where you can follow me everywhere online. So we're going to be doing the next live stream on the October 25th, right, Tom? On the next one.
Yeah, October 25th is what I'm seeing on my calendar.
And we're gonna take these questions. Definitely keep these questions and try to do it. Thank you, Dr. Balin, Simon Balin. This guy's the development king, the endodontic development king here, man. We got some big players here at the live. Appreciate you coming through, showing love.
Appreciate all of you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you
keep
so
those
much for
questions coming
joining
in.
us.
So
We
the
enjoyed
next
it
week,
so much. Yes, all these questions we'll get back to you off air. The next guys that are coming in. And thank you so much for being here. You guys live a life of abundance, live a life of wealth, and live your fullest life. That's my thing. And that the best way to do it is by achieving financial freedom. All right, guys. See you next time.